My name is Ashim Ketrin Key. I'll be moderating for this session together with Lydia Berrymoon. This is themed Future-Proofing Youth Engagement from Project to Movement. So just to go over the groundkeeping rules as a housekeeping rule. Yeah, so you can navigate the Zoom by dropping your chats and introducing yourself on the chat box. So you can just tell us where you're from, your state, your country, and then your role. And also, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box also as the webinar goes on. And the duration for this webinar is going to be for about 1 hour. And I hope we learn a lot as we move on. So just to give us a brief overview of what to expect during the webinar. A360 project has been going on for years, and we've been engaging with young persons from different countries across Nigeria, Kenya, and Ethiopia. And as such, we would want to move youth engagement to from projects to movement. And that's why we've been engaging with youth. And this is a strategy to sustain the progress, MAYE strategy, and to so we'll be drawing insights from the A360 projects. And I'm excited to facilitate this session. And also, we are going to know about innovative models and commitments that are required to embed youth participation in a long system and structures. We have different persons from different countries, stakeholders joining us. And so moving forward, I would like to invite youths, our keynote speaker. She's a health expert with about 20 years experience. Yeah, with about 20 years experience, she has led impactful programs in non-profit health sectors, including enhancing Nigeria's response to HIV and AIDS, the DICS program, and including the A360 project. She has also reached about 600,000 girls with quality ASR research tailored to the needs of young people and advancing youth-friendly health services. Her expertise in policy analysis and resource harmonization has contributed to more enabling environments for youth engagement. Beyond her professional accomplishments, she's a dedicated mentor who invests deeply in youths and helps them to achieve their goals. Can you help us welcome Roslyn Ode, A360 Country Lead, Society for Family Health, Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Catherine, and hello, everyone. Nice to be joining you today on discussing this very important topic. So our fellow participants and young leaders, nice to have you join us. Well, I'm delighted to address this important conversation on future-proofing youth engagement as we collectively envision a shift from project-based interventions to sustainable movements. You agree with me that landscape of youth engagement across Africa holds and stands at a critical inflection point. For decades now, we have witnessed cycles of promising youth initiatives that flourish with donor funding only to wither when such funding come to a close. This pattern has created what I have called the project paradox. That is a situation where you have short-term successes that inadvertently sometimes undermine long-term sustainability. However, today presents us with an opportunity to reimagine youth engagement through more transformative lenses. I think a fundamental gaps of many programs that we implement is positioning young people as beneficiaries rather than architects of change. You see, when youth are merely recipients of pre-designed interventions, we somewhat systematically undermine their leadership capabilities. On the H360 program, experience has shown that true sustainability emerges when young people design and contribute in leading and owning initiatives from inception. We've seen examples like in Rwanda, where youth-led cooperatives have transformed from donor-dependent projects into what you call economically viable enterprises. They achieve this by rewriting the script from implementing someone else's vision into realizing their own dreams. In this climb, there is also the issue of our preoccupation with external funding, which oftentimes blind us the resources within our communities. Please note that the most resilient youth movements globally are not those with the largest donor budgets, but those that effectively mobilize local assets, including social capital, indigenous knowledge, and very importantly, community resources. The secret is to recognize that sustainability requires leveraging local resources rather than depending wholly on external help. Perhaps I would say our greatest oversight has been to focus on standalone projects rather than nurturing, enabling ecosystems. Sustainable youth engagement requires supportive policy environments. Intergenerational partnership is critical, and interconnected networks also very important. The youth climate movements across Africa, like the Rise of Climate movement, demonstrate this principle. They have succeeded in building ecosystems that connect grassroots activism from very small seeds with policy advocacies, technological innovation, and economic opportunities. Another vibrant and very brilliant example is the Tony Elumelu Foundation. With its Pan-African outlook, it has built a cohort of young innovators across Africa, who in turn are making positive changes in their various communities, carrying on with the goal of empowering other young Africans in various fields. So where do we go from here? How do we progress? I will say that as we envision youth engagement beyond donor funding, we must embrace three strategic imperatives. First is to institutionalize youth leadership, and not through tokenistic representation, but through genuine decision-making authority in governance structures, resourcing, and strategy development. We must also develop hybrid sustainability models that blend social enterprise approaches with community resource mobilization, thereby reducing dependence on traditional development funding. Very importantly also, we must invest in connective infrastructure that links youth-led initiatives across sectors and across geographies, allowing for knowledge sharing, collective advocacy, and shared resources. Please remember that the future of youth engagement is not about better projects. Rather, it's fundamentally about reimagining how we structure power, resources, and relationships. It requires that we trust young people not just to implement our visions, but to create bolder, more innovative approaches that we might have not imagined. As I conclude today, I challenge each one of us to reflect. Are we perpetuating the project paradigm, or are we genuinely building the conditions for youth-led movements to thrive long after our organizations and fundings have moved on? The future of sustainable youth engagement depends on your answer. Please choose wisely. Thank you very much, and I wish all of us a very fruitful deliberation even as we continue with this webinar.
Thank you very much for that wonderful keynote. And from what I've heard, we need to utilize local resources than depending on external resources with insights from other key persons that have helped to make this an achievement. And so going forward, I would like to invite a key presenter from one of the countries. Her name is Sarah Gatti, a youth innovation advocate and ASRH champion with experience in adolescent engagement and community mobilization. As a youth implementation champion with H360, She empowers young people to make informed reproductive health decisions. And as so, I would like to invite her to the stage to present to us on their sustainable plans about young persons' perspectives on MAYE sustainability from. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm Sarah Gati Joseph from Kenya. So I'm going to represent on sustainability of meaningful U. Next, please. So here we are going to talk about MAYE, how the first presentation, please.
Sorry, Sarah, I lost you for a bit, but you're back.
Okay, thank you. So here we are going to talk about meaningful adolescent youth engagement, where it involves about inclusion for all adolescents and youths in matters of making decision making, and also on matters of implementation of the project and for accountability. So here we have the structure for a 360 in Kenya. So we are going to start with the last one, which is local adolescent forums. Here we are going to focus on local adolescent forums, being that it is an intervention that has come up well in Kenya on matters of MAYE. So here, local adolescent forums are focusing on the community basis to ensure that they reach other adolescents and young people with information. Here we have youth peers providers. Their work is to ensure that they mobilize these adolescents to services. We have youth innovation champions who are supporting youth peers providers to make the right information and how to do the target mobilization at the community level. We have the MAYE country committee. Here, they usually talks about the projects and how we can improve. And at the top end, we have MAYE Steering Committee Global. Here, they represent all the countries on matters of MAYE. Next. So here we are going to focus on local adolescent forums. Local adolescent forums here, they have been part of the co-created adolescent activities in Kenya. So here are the core goals: to ensure that they support peer mobilization and to give out the right information on matters of contraceptive, and also they are promoting economic empowerment on peer-to-peer to ensure that they give this information to other peers at the community level, and also on matters of civic activities. They're taking part to represent the other young people during the technical working groups at the local government and also at the country level to ensure that they give out the feedback on the young people. Next. So here how we formed local adolescent forum formation. Here, these local adolescent forums, girls are being mobilized at the community level by the community health promoters, and they are taken through sexual reproductive health, soft skills development. Here we have 7 skills that we take them to ensure that they have this knowledge on soft skills development, and also they're being taken to hand skill development in matters to build business skills. Here, the youth peer providers train the groups on matters of the hand skills, and also they show them how to do them so that they can be empowered on their own. Then after that, graduation is being conducted at the community level to showcase to to showcase the skills of these young adolescents at the community level, all where all other stakeholders are being present to ensure that they support these adolescents in matters of registration of their groups, maybe offering the support of the youths at the county level. Next. So here we are going to talk about sustainability approaches. So being that we are talking about sustainable approaches, being that if they are able to showcase these intervention at the community level to ensure that these learnings are not being taken out. So here we are talking about institutionalization of adolescent and youth structure within the county system. We have ensured that at the county level, these structures have been taken positively to ensure that they are promoting the local adolescent forums, youth peer providers, and the youth innovation champions on the existing county health structures. So during the dialogues with adults to ensure that they're giving ownership to these adolescents or to these young people at the community level. So here we are continuing with the mentorship of the youth leaders to ensure that this information is being disseminated also at the community level, where people are being empowered with this knowledge and are able to support this local adolescent forum on making the right decision and also on matters of referral and linkages. And here we are ensuring that youth-led monitoring to ensure that these skills are being used well at the community level, at the county level, and also at the country level to ensure that they're being used also to other capacity building on matters of economic, on where we are ensuring that these local adolescent forum have been referred to the TVET, technical vocational trainings, where they can get other information, all other education further from that the organization has given them. Next. So our result here on matters of behavioral outcome, mostly youths have taken this information positively to ensure that they are able to access services of sexual reproductive health of their choice, and they can make the right choices during the services. And also in matters of system level change, we can see that youths are given opportunity to present at the county level and also at the country level. They're sitting in the part of the community county health technical working groups to ensure that they're giving out their voices on matters of the budget analysis, budget, to ensure that the budget allocation of the SRHR are being implemented at the county level to ensure that young people have gotten this opportunity so that they can get these services of their own at the community level. So here we're going to talk about sustainability achievement that so far we have achieved at the country in Kenya. Youth Forum integrated at the county plans. Right now, we have seen that in all facilities in the annual work plan, they have involved these youth days to ensure they're part of the part of the outreaches, part of the activities that are being conducted. And also we can see that the youth peers providers are being taken place during mobilization of these young people in the outreaches. And we can see local adolescent forum champions reading to mobilization, being that here these are the ambassadors who are connecting with other young people at the community to ensure that they have given them the right information. So here in matters of civic engagement, you can see all the young people have given their part to participate in public participation and also in in matters of the budget process and matters of the budget analysis at the county level and also at the country level. Next. So challenges, it is also still there is resistance at the community level and also the capacity gaps. So we are ensuring that these youth are continuing with the capacity implementation, lesson learned, meaningful youth engagement has really worked, youth ownership, being that youths have owned this project, then they are doing well at the community level and also at the county level. And here we can see that the government has also buy up the intervention of the project and are implementing it at their local level to ensure that these skills and intervention have been taken back to the community there for sustainability aspect. And also we are also championing for the matter of storytelling and also writing of this information to ensure that this information is not being back only at the community level. All other people can access this information and the intervention of the project. Next. Thank you, and back to you, Angelica.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. We've literally learned a lot from that, part of which is how we are engaging young people at the grassroots level in Kenya, and also how we are supporting them to sustain MAYE at that level. So thank you so much, Sarah, and for that work. As we move on, Lydia, are you on the call at the moment?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Catherine, we can hear you now. You can.
All right, so sorry for that. All right, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, Lydia. And to hear that Kenya is already doing a nice work concerning and as regards to meaningful adolescents and youth engagement sustainability. And so next, I would like to invite the presenter from Nigeria. His name is Aliyu Abdulaziz, a youth innovation officer, passionate about project movement, monitoring and evaluation, research and learning. He also presented in the research finding in the 8th Nigerian Family Planning Conference. He also drives and implements MAYE activities at national community level. Let's welcome Aliyu Abdulaziz to make his own presentation on how Nigeria has been working with governments in sustaining MAYE activities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Catherine. I remain Ali Abdulaziz Aliyu, and I'm working with the Society for Family Health here in Nigeria. In a couple of minutes, we are going to discuss on how working with government and youth-led organization is meaningful adolescent and youth engagement. Next slide, please. So just to refresh our mind, meaningful adolescent and youth engagement is an inclusive and intentional partnerships between adolescents, adults, and young people, whereby power is shared and of course respective contributions are valued and the young people perspectives, skills, ideas and strength are actually integrated into the design and delivery of a program, strategy, policy, decision making, and of course the funding mechanism in their communities, the country, and of course the world at large. So since we have started implementing in Nigeria, we want to ensure that this meaningful adolescent initiative is actually sustained beyond the life of the A360 project. Then we say, of course, working with government is one of the key approach that that we ensure sustainability of these initiatives. So we observe that for the government, when we start working, we observe that for the government, actually there is provision for the young people in the government structure, but the position is actually occupied by our senior elders, or I can say our senior elders, such as in what development committees. Then, of course, in the youth-led organization, we observe that the young people, they have a group, and of course they have a network, and they have an interest and passion to like support and ensure sustainable development and contribute effectively in their communities and the country at large. Then we observe that for the young people, actually there are some gaps, or they need some capacity building, like around the advocacy, leadership, and of course one of the most critical things is the mobilizing resource at the domestic level. Then for the government, of course, we advocate for the integration of these young people into government structures, such as the world development committees, where our young people will actually drive MAYE initiative in their communities. And of course, for the youth-led organization, we build their capacity around resource mobilization. And because like I say initially, some of the challenges mobilizing resource so that they can mobilize and of course drive my initiative without out-of-pocket spending, or without like out-of-pocket spending. Next slide, please. So some of our strategy that we use is number one, polluted ecosystem. Of course, collaboration or partnership. You need to go together or in a team. So collaboration, actually, it yield a positive result. It worked for us and still working for us. For example, when we have an initiative or when we have an activities, we normally reach out to other youth-led organization or other non-governmental organization, seeking their support to come together to collaborate and make this and implement this initiative together. Not because our project doesn't have an adequate fund to implement this initiative, but rather we want to demonstrate and we want to show to our youth network that collaboration is powerful in terms of resource mobilization. They can collaborate with other youth network in their community, and of course with the community philanthropies, and where they can mobilize a resource and execute their activity without out-of-pocket spending. Then the second thing is put stakeholder at the driver seat. Of course, putting the involving stakeholder in decision-making process, and of course putting them in the forefront is actually leading to sustainable process. For example, when we have an activities or we want to maybe implement or conduct, we want to like commemorate International Women's Day. This is our plan that we have. So we reach out to those stakeholders, like seeking their ideas, asking them, is this possibility? What is the possibility of this? What is their own perspective? Then from there you hear from them, and of course at the end you tell them this is so this is what you have in your plan. So like this one, it makes them feel valued, because you value their perspective, you value them. It makes them to feel proud, of course, and also make them feel like they honor your initiative, they are the owner of your activities. Of course, sustainability is assured. Then the second thing is align with the national and local priorities. Of course, it's leading to more effective and targeted intervention, and of course, addressing community-specific need. Because for example, we at the state and national level, we always align our initiative to we prioritize the need of our country, and that's at the national level. We prioritize our initiative or activities with the big with the national big picture. And of course, for our youth network and other youth-led organization, we build them around like because what we build them to prioritize their own community need, because what the young people in community A is needed or what is burden to the young people in community A is actually not a burden to the young people in community B. So prioritization is actually lead to more targeted and of course sustainable initiative. Then flexibility, always you need to be flexible, you need to adapt and of course adjust in any situation. Next slide, please. So some of our best practice that we actually use is number one, shared vision. So like I said initially, working with government and other youth group, you need to share your ambition with them. For example, when we start implementation, we observe that there is a lot of youth organization, but of course we need to prioritize those whose their vision align with our, or those that can align our vision with them so that they can, of course, drive my initiative in their own communities. Then capacity building, which is also critical, especially on advocacy, leadership, and resource mobilization. Because some of the main challenge, one of the most challenge that these young people actually they are facing is telling them or you have been touching them on, they can execute a plan with execute their plan without out of pocket spending, just like through collaboration, partnership with other youth network, working together with or collaboration or partnership with community philanthropies, and of course leveraging the technologies is actually critical. We have been working with us, and we have seen a lot of youth network, a lot of youth organization now. They are actually carrying out their own activities within their community, supporting their communities, solving their own community problem without out-of-pocket spending, which is actually making us more proud. And of course, is one of the investment of the impact. That is one of the impact investment that we are actually right now harvesting. So the third thing is inclusive and participatory approach. So we actually ensure that everybody is carried along, everybody along the process. We are onboarding everybody, ensure that yes, we are working together in a team, and in it we have a transparent communication plan with them. Then resilience in stakeholder engagement, which is also part of the one of our best practice, because you are planning for, or you want to see, for example, director youth or commissioner of youth. So you have been like you have been paying an advocacy, you want to see him, so they have been telling you he's not here, he's not there, but you need to be resilient in those process for you to achieve your own activities. Next slide, please. So some of the challenge that we have seen as a result of working with the government and this youth network is, of course, organizational interest, especially for the youth-led organization or for the other NGOs. You have your own plan. You come up with your own plan. You reach out to them, and of course, they will tell you something that is different. Then the second thing is political interest. We have been like building the capacity of like adolescent focused person in non-health sector ministries. You build his capacity today on advocacy, leadership, resource mobilization, so that he can drive MAYE initiative in their own ministry. But tomorrow you will hear that those people or that person is transferred to another ministry, for example, Ministry of Agriculture, or to somewhere else. So these are some of the challenges that we are actually facing. But one of the defensive mechanism that we are using to tackle this issue is if we train them, we have been encouraging them and ensure that we have been tracking and ensure that they cascade those training to their deputy or to their assistant in their ministry, so that if they are not around, if once they are not around, or the owner, someone will take over and continue with the initiative without any hassle. Next slide, please. So our priorities for this year is, of course, engaging adolescent and youth officers across non-health sector ministries, and of course, in most of our implementing state here in Nigeria, we have achieved so much on this. Now, as I'm speaking now, we have adolescent and youth desk officer in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Education, and of course, Ministry of Youth and the Ministry of Resource, so that this adolescent and youth desk officer, they drive my initiative in their own ministry. Of course, sustainability is assured. Then mapping of adolescent and young people in World Development Committee, which is a national structure, since from the national out to the world level, where there is actually a position or provision for the youth leader. And of course, like I say in the beginning, when we start implementing, we observe that actually those people that occupy the position is our senior elders. And there is a series of advocacy, engagement, government now in our implementing state, of course, approved that now as I'm speaking, young people are actually occupying those or integrated into world development committees where they actually contribute, ensure their drive MAYE, and of course their community development initiative beyond representation. Then the one of our also priorities, the third thing that is advocate for inclusion of youth champion in adolescent technical working group, the RAMCAN and other technical. And of course, in our implementing state, we support them. And as I'm speaking to you now, we have one of our implementing, so one of our youth leader or one of our youth champion is actually the chairman subcommittee of the adolescent technical working group, where actually I believe he will drive my initiative and of course ensure that he represents the interests of other young people beyond the just mere print, but actually you contribute beyond the mere representation. So with these priorities, when we looked at it, with these priorities, we believe that my sustainability,
Very much,
whether with or
Aliu.
without A360, is assured. Next slide. Thank you, and over to you, Lydia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Aliu, for that wonderful presentation and the key takeaways that we've gotten from Nigeria's action towards sustainability. And I would like to invite the next presenter from Ethiopia, Maria Mawit, to go on with her presentation.
All right, thank you, Caroline.
It's just to let you know, just be like brief so that to save time.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. I'm Mara Moit, a youth innovation champion at PSI Ethiopia, and with me, we're going to talk about capacity building for meaningful adolescent youth engagement sustainability. Next slide, please. So here at PSI Ethiopia, we believe that capacity building is not just a skill development. It's giving the young people an opportunity to empower themselves and to take charge of their futures. And capacity building provides us youths with the necessary tools to build a sustainable networks with our communities, to advocate, to lead, to innovate. And this all happens through, as we all know, education is very important, and through giving us roles to our opportunities to lead, and as well as policy influences by transforming our ideas into action, and by engaging us socially through fostering these collaborations, as well as encouraging our young people's creative thinking. Next slide, please. So PSIers or Youth Innovation Champions at PSI, we think that in order to empower, in order to build the capacity of young people, we take education and leadership, for instance. So we actually have a meaningful adolescent engagement strategy that was generated from the National Adolescent and Youth Health Strategy that ensures that the adolescent and youth, wherever they are in Ethiopia, are meaningfully engaged. But on the ground level, we YSEs, we provide orientations of smart starts in pastoral communities or regional areas. For instance, the Somalia and Afar regions. We also take many different training programs. For instance, one of them is the mentorship program, which has both peer-to-peer and peer-to-adult mentorship programs. That's not the only trainings that we take. Some of them are maybe capacity building trainings, as well as advocacy trainings. And so there is an event or a forum called the National Meaningful Adolescent Youth Engagement that happens once a year. And during those forums, we YCs or young people, we review and provide feedback that expresses the needs of the adolescent and young people from our text during those events. And we also review important documents in regards to young people. Next slide, please. So to put our trainings in the ground level, we also use our advocacy trainings to collaborate in initiatives of RISE. RISE is the roadmap integrating Smart Start to Ethiopia, as well as the IUCD contraceptive method in the national scale-up initiatives. On the left side, you can also see YCs, both senior and fresh YCs collaborating together. That shows the mentorship to show that the Smart Start adaptation to donors. And I also explained the National Adolescent Health Forum earlier. And during those forums, we also take parts in having roles and responsibilities and opportunities to work with other young people across regions. And during those forums as well, as I said earlier, we review, provide feedback on important documents that has not been said. But moving forward, we actually like to engage to strengthen our collaboration with the National Youth Health Council. And today I have a very special guest with us as part of my presentation. I would actually like to invite Dr. Gammachu. He is the National Adolescent and the president of the National Adolescent Youth Health Council. Over to you, Gammachu.
Thank you, Maramit. Thank you, everyone. It's my privilege to address you as a president of National Adolescent and Youth Health Council, which is a movement for and by Ethiopian youth. The National Adolescent and Youth Health Council founded 6 years back by young volunteers from different backgrounds and parts of Ethiopia. And it's been serving as Adolescent Youth Advisory Board for Ethiopian Ministry of Health. 1 year back, we undergo the reform to reach young people across the nation. And a year ago, this is the only 42 volunteers from all regions. It's spanned to the regions, zone, and the city. And currently, we have more than 500 trained volunteers, members across the whole nation. In addition to this, we have also more than 25,000 online community in different platforms. We train them on the meaningful engagement, SRH, and adolescent and youth health generally, including the mental health and the nutrition. And we also train them in advocacy, volunteers, and leadership. So this structural formally has recognition and support from the Ministry of Health. And as I stated before, it's serving as a youth advisory board for the Ministry of Health. So in today's theme, future-proofing youth engagement, in align perfectly with the current Ethiopian progress, the meaningful adolescent youth engagement guideline has been implemented from 2018 to 2025 and currently updated. So it's the policy aimed to protect the youth rights in equal participation in the health decision alongside the adults. So with a clear principle for all stakeholders to follow. So partners and donors will follow this principle that's stated on this guideline. So Ethiopia's culture of youth engagement has significant progress, especially partners, organization like PSI, train, capacitate youth champions, and involve them in project designing, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. This ensures youth contribution to the project cycle and the community well-being as well. However, there is a multiple gaps for now. Let's discuss for the 3 ones. So the first one is the continuity of the engagement after the project cycle, which is the major decision point for today's seminar. A lot of resources has been invested on the use during the project cycle, but once the project ended, there is no left stage for the youth to contribute for the community and as well as for their peer. And the representativeness issue, the youth which are involved is not directly engaged from the project implementation sites or target group. And the partners select the youth which is less cost and to engage most of the time from the capital city of Addis, whereas the implementation of the project is somewhere in the rural, which is against the principle. And there also the meaningful engagement is also have some of the partners use young people as a Christmas tree for decoration of the project cycle, which is also against the principle. So our council is challenging those challenges, gaps to solve. So I'm going to share you how the National Council structure is solving the gaps as stated before. So representativeness issue, we decentralize we use the decentralization inclusive model. This decentralization inclusive model is give equal chance to every diverse young people across the nation. And inclusivity is the major guiding principle for all actions. For using the use as a Christmas tree, we strongly advocate and ask to stop governments as well as the partner non-governmental organization to use this as a decoration for their project. So there is a formal reporting formats mechanism to follow this bridging of the principle. About the continuity of the youth engagement in our practice, the project joint command youth participation, we are already on the table. So we have moved beyond the paradigm where projects command the participation. So our national volunteer platform, young people are already on the table before the project began. So remain after the end. Our trained more than 500 volunteers from permanent human structure across all Niger holding the institutional seat. Institutional seat means from the Ministry of Health up to the health center level. So when there's new initiative or new project launched, they don't recruit youth participants. They engage with the existing structure. So this is how we solve the continuity gap, not by exceeding the project, but by building youth leadership system that excels single intervention. So the Ministry of Health direction now requires all adolescent health program to coordinate through our council structure, which is supported by Ministry of Health. This ensures when the project ends, the table remain our to shape the policy and the program for our generation, and the contribution of the youth will continue. So to prove the future proofing youth engagement, we propose institutionalization. As I heard before, so institutionalization of the volunteer platform is mandatory to ensure the continuity of this youth engagement. And mandate the co-leadership. Youth is not only the participant, they have to make uses as a decision maker. And we also align the funding with the long-term youth ownership, not the short-term output. So we ask the donor to fund not only the program, but also the leader. So the National Adolescent Youth Council stand ready to share the model and globally, and we are also ready to collaborate with anyone who want to change the future of the youth. Together, we can ensure no young person is left behind. Thank you, Maramites. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Gamachu. And that's why we believe that collaborating with the National Youth Health Council is actually for the better health of sustainability for meaningful adolescent and youth engagement. I actually saw one question that asked what RISE was. So I wanted to address that quickly. So RIDE is an abbreviation for Roadmap to Integrating Smart Start to Ethiopia. And Smart Start is a growth-centered asexual sexual reproductive health program that combines financial planning with contraceptive programs for rural married girls aged 15 to 19. So if you have any more questions on this, please put them down in the chat. But I'm done with my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, especially for the incredible panelists for their dynamic presentations. We've learned so much from their own context and implementation around meaningful adolescent youth engagement in the context of institutionalization. So everyone, as a participant, let's give them a round of applause. Let's use a clapping emoji to give this incredible panelists for their contribution, motivation. Yes, I see one. Keep it coming. Okay. Okay. Nice, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So before we conclude the presentation, I just want to highlight that we will be addressing your questions in the chat. So please don't forget to put your questions or any reflections in the chat so that we will be addressing them accordingly, so that also to use our time effectively. We're running out of time. So at last, we have a presentation from Bashir from Your Space. Before I welcome him, I just want to say a few things about him. Bashir is a social worker and SRHR expert specializing in youth empowerment and health system strengthening. As a certified master trainer in SRHR, Bashir has led high impact initiatives from securing 21 district level partnerships to advancing Uganda's self-care agendas, and he will tell us more. So over to you, Bashir. Please welcome him.
Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. Like I've been introduced, I'll be sharing briefly about the U-Space model, project that has been birthed since 2017 and continue to be sustained by PSI Uganda in Uganda. Thank you. Next slide, please. So just a brief context about Uganda adolescent health. Uganda, as you can see, is a young nation where children make up over 50% of the population and youth nearly 23%. But behind these promising numbers is a pressing story where a quarter of the teenage girls aged 15 to 19 have already started childbearing, and 3/4 of adolescents are sexually active, and many are navigating this stage of life with limited support, limited information, but also limited access to youth-friendly health services. With 2/3 of new HIV infections occurring in adolescents, girls, and condom use particularly low among young women, the data reveals a simple truth where young people are at the center of the SRH crisis, and hence they must be at the center of the solution. But what does it actually mean to center young people? What happens when they become co-creators of the systems meant to serve them? That's exactly what a project with funding from Pfizer set out to explore in 2017 through a bold and intentional process known as human-centered design. Next slide, please. Through the human-centered design, or you can also call it HCD, it isn't just about a set of tools, but a philosophy, one that begins with empathy and insists on walking in the shoes of the very people whom we are designing for. So with the support from Pfizer in 2016, PSI Uganda set out to improve access to youth-friendly SRH services through the Profile Network and private facilities, where we also conducted a user-centered design study, which is the HCD. So over the course of the 3 cycles, Hear, Create, and Deliver, PSI Uganda engaged young people not as passive beneficiaries, but as active designers, we listened to their frustrations, their dreams, and their behaviors. And we made one critical promise that every solution would reflect their voice. From this process, the YouSpace brand was eventually born. Not just a name, but a symbol of trust, relevance, and youth ownership in SRH service delivery. Next slide. Of course, listening alone sometimes doesn't solve problems. So how did we take these insights and translate them into tangible, sustainable change? Through these barriers, we uncovered some creative solutions that we built alongside the young people. First, the provider, because we often the elephant in the room is the providers. Many young people told us they feared being judged or dismissed at the clinics that they would access services from. So we developed
I think we lost Bashir, maybe due to network connection. So
a youth-friendly health.
he's back.
Okay, sorry. So next came the awareness and communication, which many youth lacked access to safe spaces or learn or speak openly about SRH issues. So the solution here was digital and physical advocacy, where we amplified SRH conversations on social media, created feedback loops through client exit interviews, and helped normalize the sensitive discussions. Thirdly, we also faced challenges in demand creation. Apologies about the background noise. I hope it's not interfering. I'm just at a center where there's some activities happening. Yes, in demand creation, peer education programs were inconsistent and many service providers or services were unaffordable for the young people. So we standardized the peer education process through clear guidelines, including the selection criteria, the curriculum for their training, the scope of work, as well as integrating the M&E tools to measure their performance. But also, we introduced a voucher scheme that was aimed to reduce the costs and also conducted door-to-door outreach to reach more adolescents in the remote areas. Finally, we also encompass a challenge of the social economic layer. Why this matters is because when a young person lacks financial stability, their health decisions are often compromised. Skilling workshops and linkage to government linkage programs was proposed to empower these youth not only to stay healthy, but also to thrive economically. PSI Uganda, next slide, please, has pivoted these solutions to sustain SRH services as seen in the results snapshot in my slide. So since 2017, when the YouSpace brand was birthed, to 2025 currently, YouSpace has continuously been embedded into various projects that PSI is implementing. And through this, currently, we so far have turned down to 26 YouSpace certified clinics where young people can access these services. 22 peer mobilizers who are supporting the mobilization within the 2 districts of implementation. But through their efforts, we have been able to reach about 2,527 youth with SRH information, and also have been able to have representation in 3 Ministry of Health strategic groups, including the Ministry of Health Technical Working Group for Adolescent Health, participating in the weekly teenage pregnancy surveillance response platform, but also a think tank on discussing interventions on how we can reduce teenage pregnancy. Next slide, please. So now designing great solutions sometimes is only half the journey. The real question that comes is, can these solutions actually last? Can they scale? So through these are just a few of our recommendations that we have come about when we are sustaining the YouSpace. At the heart of the YouSpace sustainability is systems thinking, where problems are viewed just as part of a larger interconnected system rather than as isolated users or issues. We didn't just implement, but mechanisms that could endure through these four key strategies. One, where we equip the institutions, including the health providers, partners, and decision makers with the tools and frameworks to design and deliver youth responsive programs. Secondly, has been the intentional knowledge generation and dissemination, where we are committed to capture and share what works so that other programs locally or globally can adapt and build on our experience. Thirdly is nurturing monitoring partnerships. Um, from ministries to community youth groups, PSI Uganda has worked to nurture relationships that anchor the work beyond just a project timeline, but also ensure that some of these interventions can be integrated within the policy and the national strategies. Lastly, has been the leveraging of our digital platforms. As we are aware, digital platforms has been one of those steadily increasing platforms where young people access information. So through leveraging these digital platforms, youth who live online, and hence our solutions as well, we are adapting to digital spaces that offer engaging, trusted SRH information that meets youth where they are through our youth space, Twitter, as well as on Facebook. So to wrap up this, what have we learned? When young people are not just consulted, but truly empowered, we don't just build better programs, but we build movements where your space is one of those testaments to what's possible when innovation meets inclusion and when sustainability is built from the ground up. With those few remarks, I would like to stop here and hand over back to you, Lydia. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Bashir from Your Space Projects for this practical and inspiring strategies. Yes, Bashir, you have given us exactly what we need, like your experience, not just theories, but tested approaches and also implemented experiences. So everyone, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah, let's encourage him and say thank you for sharing their incredible experience. So if I could summarize three key learnings from this session. One is it's very critical to improve access to YFS, use-friendly services, services at all levels through a true implementation of meaningful adolescent and youth engagement. And second is using innovative approach such as human-centered design, as he mentioned, is a very critical component. A third is a key to implement mitigation measures to challenges or barriers when we work on youth empowerment, especially to make it more sustainable in your practice or in your context. So these are game changers as we work to sustain youth engagement. Thank you so much, Bashir, for sharing your experience. So before we conclude, you can drop any remaining reflections or questions in the chat, please. Let's give you time to share your thoughts, feedbacks, and the like. I know that we ran out of time and we took a little bit of time. Yeah, is there any question, reflection, any clarification that you need? You can put it in the Q&A chat. Okay. So far, there are none. So I think it's time to conclude the session. So to all panelists, participants, especially our youth contributors, you prove that we have centered youth voices, like we find the most innovative solutions. So our conversation doesn't end here. So we will continue working, we will continue influencing policy at all levels. We'll continue implementing meaningful adolescent and youth engagement to make it more institutionalized and implemented in all on every level of works. So I think it's time that we conclude our session. So have a good evening, morning, rest of the day. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.